Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to MMA Unhinged. And as you can see, we've got the machine, Ian Freeman, here with us today. And it's fantastic to be joined by you, Ian. A pleasure, mate. How are you?
I'm really good. Looking forward to this interview. Get a lot of unanswered questions out there, so I'm ready for you.
Yeah, we got a big one, and we'll jump straight into it. Obviously, you announced that you had the Road to the Cage Warriors series. I'd like to start off at the beginning. Basically, how'd that really come about? How do we get to basically where we are now with, the partnership with Cage Warriors?
So, as you know, my events are all amateur MMA. Where is there a pathway for amateurs to go? Now, at the moment, all amateurs are doing is show hopping and belt collecting. That's all they're doing. They've got no goal after that. So they come to my show, they win a belt, great. They think they've achieved everything, so they move on to the next show. They win a belt there, they've achieved that, they move on. So basically the belt hopping. There's nothing, there's no pathway. There's no pathway in this country that allows you to go from amateur to professional. And a little light bulb just went off in my head. I've got a great relationship with Cage Warriors. Unbelievable. They're like a second family, really. My daughter's managed with Cage Warriors. She's now the world champion. They've managed to get her onto the UFC. So I thought, if they can do that for my daughter, why can't they do it for my champions? Yeah. So that's how it all came about. And I contacted Graham Bolam, the owner of Cage Warriors. I put the concept to him. I explained, in detail of, what's around for amateurs, which is basically nothing apart from belt hopping. And he loved the idea. Absolutely loved it. And we just hit it off.
For you, what is this for you? Obviously, it's a partnership, as you mentioned, for the fighters to go on to the Cage Warriors. But is it looking to maybe get these fighters to, kind of stay basically longer in your promotion? Is that something that you've thought about? So you get these fights through the door, you get these fighters from, maybe, say, Ireland, maybe around here as well. Is that a big part of it as well, to try and help the Northeast? Because basically you are, a Northeast promotion.
So it's to help all amateurs from all parts of the country. Now, you may ask this question later in the interview, but I don't want to just stay in Newcastle. Newcastle's going to be my base. It's going to be my bread and butter. But if it works as well as I'm hoping it works, then I'm prepared to move around the country. Midlands, South, up to Scotland. I've got lots of friends in Scotland. So I'm happy to move around. But the main reason I did this, like I say, it was for the amateur. I kind of have a legacy now. First ever British fighter in the UFC.
Yeah. All that talk, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that story.
So, yeah, we've heard that one before. So I'm the first ever father and daughter with Kennedy to fight in Cage Warriors. Yeah. We are now the first ever. We are now the very first ever father and daughter to fight in the UFC. She makes her debut very soon and soon to be announced. So I want my legacy to continue. Now, what better way to have your legacy continue than have all your Machine MMA champions jump onto the road of Cage Warriors and get there into that big, massive European professional event. Wow. For me, that's what I want. I just want that legacy.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the terms that, I don't want everything in a little bit of detail, but everything that you can possibly share with everyone that's, viewing. What are the terms? What if we're looking at a contract, basically, what do you have to put up for them to kind of accept the fighter, basically, to come through the ranks and go through to Cage from Machine MMA?
So it's all about building your profile. Yeah. A fighter can even be underage, as in not to the age of 18, which you're allowed to fight in the Cage Warriors. They can be 16, 17. Allow me to build them up, build up their profile, become a great fighter, get the equal matches, because that's where people go wrong. They go to these other events and they're not matched made properly. They're not. They're either put in there as cannon fodder or, and it puts them off, and they go, but everyone knows that the matchmaking on my shows are equal. Yep. They're never easy. They are always hard. But how can you turn professional if you don't get tested? Yeah. So the matchmaking is really good on my show. So no matter what age you are, I will build you up. If you are already established, then what we need to do is get you into Machine MMA and then have at least 2 fights. Maybe it's the third one, go for the belt, if you're good enough. If you think you can come to Machine MMA and go, my first fight, I want to fight for the gold belt, I want a professional contract, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Did Cage Warriors do that with my daughter? She was unbeaten. She was unbeaten as a professional. She went into Cage Warriors. She had to prove herself. She proved herself with the first round knockout, then she proved herself with the second round knockout, then she proved herself with the fourth round stoppage. Then she got the belt to make her go into the UFC. You shouldn't think that you can just step into an organisation and get everything gift wrapped to you. You've got to prove yourself. If you're that good, then you should prove yourself anyhow. But if you need to build yourself up, that's where I come in. That's where I pick and choose your opponents. I help you get through the rankings. You keep on winning. You get through to that belt. You get your contract.
So basically, you're looking to be that sort of, the stepstone or into the Cage Warriors, and obviously you're happy with that role.
I'm very happy with that role. The stepping stone, it doesn't mean that you can't fight in other organisations, but don't think that you can just come in, have one fight and say, right, where's my belt shot? It's not going to happen like that. One, I am a business, and two, I've got to make sure that you have been equally matched. Just because you've won 6-0 on other organisations doesn't mean that you're 6-0 in my organisation. What it means is you could have had easy fights. Yeah, and the last thing you want, and the last thing I want, is to put you forward for a professional contract, and then that's where all the truth comes out. You fight as a professional, and you get shown your true colours. Build yourself up, allow me to build you up, and then we'll put you in for the belt, you win the belt, and all you've got to do is keep on winning. All I do is matchmake you, all you have to do is keep on winning.
Of course. Talk to me a bit about, the emotions that you kind of felt when it got kind of, I don't know whether it got signed or sealed and delivered. I don't know whether there's a contract involved with this. I presume there probably is somewhere. But talk to me about how you felt, putting your name to the paper, you writing your signature down and thinking, you know what, I've just done something really, really big. I remember looking on your Facebook and seeing like, you were posting like, I've got something big for the amateur scene coming. And I was just like, all right, okay, is it just a fight? Is it just a really big fight in the amateur scene? Is he matched something really good? I was not expecting the Cage Warriors partnership, and I think that's what caught me off guard because of how good the announcement was. So just talk to me a bit about your emotions when you finally put your pen to paper, your name there, your signature, and you thought, you know what, I've just done something really massive for the amateur scene.
Do you know what? You make me smile inside. It is absolutely, what you were just describing is how I'm feeling. It's absolutely amazing. This is the biggest merge ever in the UK.
Of course.
From amateur to professional. If it's not the biggest, it's definitely the first. I don't know anyone else that does it. It's absolutely massive. And obviously Graham is not silly. He's got a massive organisation out there called Cage Warriors. It's definitely the biggest in Europe. They're travelling all over the world. They're going to America. It's absolutely huge. So he's not a silly man. He's a clever man, a very intelligent man. And he obviously knows that my matchmaking is good. My shows are good. I don't just throw people into my events to get a win, to get a loss. And he knows that because of my background, I will make my show as big as I can.
Of course.
As big as I can to my capability. May not ever be as good as Cage Warriors, but that is my carbon copy. That's what I want to do. I've even started now. I've started to get a better production. I've started to get a better commentary team together. We're going to do interviews backstage. Everything that Cage Warriors does, I'm going to kind of copy them. But getting back to your question, how did it feel? Oh, man. It went on for weeks. Then it went on for months. And part of you is going, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Oh, please let it happen. Then they give you a little bit of a message saying, right, we're working on this, we're doing this. Then they start asking me questions. How long have I been a promoter? How long has Machine MMA actually been going? How many shows have you got? And I'm going, oh my God, it's getting closer. It's getting closer. But then when I got the message to say the deal is done, let's go for it. Oh man, honestly. I love my daughter so much, but it was just as good as watching her being born. This is my other baby. This is my baby being born, and I will do absolutely everything in my power to keep it going.
Make it succeed.
I'm not going to, I've never cancelled a show. There's many competitions out there, many events out there, and somewhere down the line, they've cancelled shows here and there. And fair enough, I understand why. It's a tough game, very tough game. I never cancel shows. If I have one person come and buy a ticket, they're going to get to see a show. I will never cancel a show. That is my promise to everybody. And my promise to everyone else is, if you join Machine MMA to fight as an amateur, I will match you equally and you will be looked after.
All I'm saying is, if you're that one person that brought that ticket to see that show, you're in for an absolute spectacle night. It doesn't matter what seat you're sitting, I think you'll be all right. But yeah, talk to me a bit about, obviously we talked about the partnership, but this is my last question and talking about, the plan, etc. Why was Cage Warriors the right fit for you? I know we spoke about, obviously, you fought in Cage Warriors, Kennedy being champion there, but why not, PFL Europe, say, for example? Why did it feel like, I wanted to approach Cage Warriors, that was the right fit for me and obviously the brand at Machine MMA?
Well, you could say that about Kennedy when she came back out of retirement to fight. We could have went to PFL. We were asked to go on Invicta, which is the female fight event. Yeah, Shannon Knapp, beautiful lady. Hi, Shannon. So we could have went to many, but we decided Cage Warriors. The reason being, we have a history together. I fought on Cage Warriors before. I've known Ian Dean since day one. He's been a friend forever. I trust Ian. I knew that his matchups would be good. If we put Kennedy in there, she wouldn't be set up. She'd have a good matchup, a good equal matchup. So we went down that route. Obviously, in the back of my mind, then it wasn't that I'm going to merge with them. It was just, let's get Kennedy in. Let's get it to the fights. If we can get her for a title fight, great. If she wins it, even better. She's already done all that, great. And then that's when I thought, I want to be part of this. I want to be part of this amazing team. Cage Warriors have to be the best team out there. It's like a family. I absolutely love it. And to actually put my fighters on there, wow. I just can't describe it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. Every time I go to a Cage Warriors event, I love it. I would happily go to I don't know if anyone's watching for Cage Warriors, but I'd happily go to a Cage Warriors event over a UFC event because I know what I'm getting. I know I'm getting great fights. I know I'm getting entertainment. We went down to London to watch UFC and the Cage Warriors the night before, and I got to be honest, I enjoyed the Cage Warriors much better because I feel like with the UFC, it's just so big nowadays, and it's just with the Cage Warriors, you know exactly what you're getting. It's a regional scrap, and there's going to be a finish most likely in every single fight, and that's like I feel like the same with your show as well. You get fights, you get scraps, you get a lot of finishes.
Yeah, we do, because I said they're equally matched. I mean, if a fighter loses, it's not because he was, outmatched. It was just, it's the better man on the day. Yeah. You could have that same fight again, and the other fighter could win. So, but I pride myself on my matchups, and I pride myself on looking after the fighters. I even though we're an amateur event, I try to go down that professional feel. And since the merge, I haven't had a show yet. But I've been working tirelessly behind the scenes, trying to make the event bigger. Like I say, I've got a bigger production, more cameras now. I've gotten a commentary team. I've got a backstage interviewer. We're doing all the same things with the backdrops and everything. So all that's coming very, very soon. So fighters are going to feel like a professional, but working as an amateur.
Is that the main thing for you? Kind of have, as you talked about, having that feeling of so when they step up to the Cage Warriors, it kind of just feels basically like Machine MMA. So it's not really, obviously it's a huge step in terms of things, but it isn't because you've babied them up to that basically.
Do you know what? I couldn't have put it better myself. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's what I said. I want to mirror image Cage Warriors so that when they go from being my champion, they go to Cage Warriors. Fair enough, it's a massive production compared to mine. It's a bigger production, but it's the same production. Yeah. They go through the same format. They do the same things beforehand. They do the same things in the fight, and then they do the same things after, i.e. interviews and everything else. So it's exactly the same, but in a smaller context. But yeah, exactly right.
We've talked about, the opportunities in terms of, the fighters, going on to fight for, Cage Warriors. But is there any other opportunities that, the fighters are going to, have? Obviously, you're going to help build them. Just talk to me a little bit about, the opportunities and the prospects that the fighters may have, through this partnership.
Well, that's a good question. So let's say they come to Machine MMA and I build them up. They build themselves up, really. I'm saying me. What I mean is I'll match make them, I'll put them on my show. I'll showcase them. And it's up to them whether they win or lose. If they fight well and they win. Now, if they build themselves up, ready for that Cage Warriors contract, but just at the final post, they don't get it because they lose the gold belt. Other companies will be looking. Other people will be looking at them and they'll go, wow, you made it right up to getting the gold belt shot. So if you'd have won that, you'd have been in Cage Warriors. Hey, come fight for us. We know how good you are, so there is other opportunities. It's not just Machine MMA and Cage Warriors. Yeah. Even if you get to the gold belt, it doesn't mean you have to accept that contract. It's your decision. There's nothing saying, if I offer you the chance of fighting for the gold belt and you say, but I don't want to be a professional in Cage Warriors. I don't want to fight for Cage Warriors. Still fight for the belt. There's no saying that you have to do that. It's your career. It's your event. I'm the one just putting you there.
Yep.
But if you do want to go
there.
all the way to Cage Warriors, it's there. It's
Yeah.
there for you. No one is forcing you to do anything.
Yeah. Obviously, we've talked about this, being an avenue and an alley into Cage Warriors, but I think we're still maybe a couple of years away from this, probably about 5 years. But do you see it maybe potentially being a pipeline or, an alleyway straight into the UFC? Because obviously we know notoriously Cage Warriors is a fantastic avenue to get into the UFC later down the line. Do you feel like this could be like a bit of a, a three-step combination if we're talking about, so we're going from Machine MMA to Cage Warriors to the UFC? Do you think that's like a possibility, basically?
Of course, it's a possibility. Michael Bisping, he actually did a little video for me, and he said exactly that.
Yeah.
He said, Machine MMA is the gateway to Cage Warriors is the gateway to the UFC. There's no saying that that is the exact route you're going to go. There's no saying that's the route that will happen. But it is a possibility. It's always a possibility. And I keep using my daughter as an example. She is the prime example. She fought on Machine MMA. She won the gold belt. She fought on Cage Warriors. She won the world title. She's now signed to the UFC. Her world is an oyster. She can, it's now up to her to prove and to progress in the UFC. So who says that you can't do it? Who says that any other amateur can't do it? It's been done. It's not a fallacy. It's not a dream that will not ever be achieved. It's a dream that's happened, and it's done.
I would like to talk about how does this impact Machine MMA, kind of moving forward. If I'm correct, the first one with the Cage Warriors behind is October. Is that correct?
We do have a show in July.
But that's like
we have a show in July. So the show in July was already booked, already done. Then I merged with Cage Warriors. So we can kind of say it's not really the road to Cage Warriors because July was already picked. But I do have two guys fighting in July for a title, and that is a stepping stone to get to the gold title. So I have two belts, just so people are wondering what's going on. I have two belts. I have a silver title belt, and that's a stepping stone from just fighting a normal fight. You keep winning normal fights, you get a shot at a silver belt. You win the silver belt, that kind of gives you a ticket.
Yeah.
It gives you a ticket to fight for the gold. If you haven't won a silver, you'll not go for the gold. So they are fighting for a silver belt in July. Whoever wins will have the opportunity to fight for a gold belt in the very near future. So there isn't any specific show. So for example, I have show July, October, November. I'm not going to go, all right, November is going to be the show that, you get the contract for Cage Warriors. It's down to the fighters. If a fighter is good enough and they want a shot at the gold belt and they want a shot at going to be a professional, we'll discuss it and we'll go, right, my next event is, let's do it for that show. Or I've got an event in 6 months' time. Do you want to wait 6 months and do it then? So the road to Cage Warriors is every show. Every single show. If you think you can just jump in and go and get a belt without proving yourself, without building yourself up, no matter how good you are, it's not going to happen. Because the difference between amateur and professional is huge. It is absolutely huge. You've got different rules, you've got different sets, you've got these guys who do it for a living. Yeah. Amateur, some people go to work. They go to McDonald's all day. Then they go to the gym and train and they fight amateur. To be a professional, it's got to be a full-time job. A full-time job. So there's a massive jump. So please don't come into my event thinking you're going to jump from amateur to professional in one fight. It's not going to happen. Yep. I need to be sure that you are good enough. I need to build you up and I need to get you ready for the professional ranks.
I want to ask about the support that you've received from Cage Warriors and the resources potentially that you will receive from Cage Warriors in terms of how they're maybe assisting you how to run your events, because obviously they're going to want you to put on a fantastic event better than obviously you have thus far. They're going to want it to make it feel even bigger. Have they brought any support, maybe any resources, to the table for Machine MMA?
Well, that's a really good question. Just like I asked the fighters to prove themselves, I think I have to prove myself to Cage Warriors. The last thing they're going to do, or the first thing they're going to do, is to say, this is the help we're going to give you, and everything could fall through. I could just sit back and go, oh, well, Cage Warriors, you carry on.
Match it.
I want to build it up so much and give them such high-quality fighters that Cage Warriors go, wow, we made this deal for a reason, and this is the reason. And then obviously if I need help with anything, what my goal, right? So when I became a fighter, I didn't want to be a fighter. It happened because I went to the gym, I felt good, I thought I was good, I wanted to test myself. I tested myself, I became a professional fighter. I was good at it. I didn't want to be in the UFC. The UFC noticed me being good and asked me to fight, and I thought, yeah, let's do it. I went to America on my own with no cornermen. I flew on my own, never been out the country in my life, never been on an aeroplane in my life. I flew to America and I fought in the UFC. I like to take chances. I like to prove myself. I like to go that next step. I'm now running Machine MMA for amateurs. I want them to go to the next step, just like I did, and become a professional. I like to progress everything. My goal is to have my shows so good, Cage Warriors, they help me to get onto UFC Fight Pass. So my production is going to become good. My events are going to become good. The amateurs out there, they love watching professionals, but why can't they watch something they can do, they can actually compete in? So let me do my production, get my events so good that somehow I get on UFC Fight Pass, and then everybody's a winner.
That was going to be one of my questions. I was going to ask about how you see, Machine MMA, kind of evolving in the next few years with this new partnership. What does that look like? I know you just mentioned the UFC Fight Pass. Do you feel like that's maybe, the possibility? Obviously, you got to, as you mentioned there, you got to prove yourself and showcase that you can run events, put on these fantastic events. Although you're already doing, but you got to kind of showcase that. They've got to see it in real life, basically. What does that look like in the next few years in terms of you for Machine MMA? How do you expect the promotion to kind of evolve moving forward?
Well, I've been a promoter for over 20 years. I don't know if you remember back in the day, Pride and Glory. That was my event. We used to do MMA in a boxing ring because there was no cages, not one single cage in England. And to ask someone to build you a cage, they're like, huh? What do you mean? Is it square? No, it's actually an octagon. But so back in the day, I started off small. I was in a little workman's club with 100 seats, and it was amazing. It was in a boxing ring. So I built my way up. I'm now to Machine MMA, the biggest and best amateur event in the UK. Yeah, I'm sure there's people down south saying that theirs is better. But hey, look where I am. So I am the biggest and the best amateur event.
Yeah.
I do want to progress, but I never want to lose that amateur feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, for example, I've got a 1,000-seater venue. We sell out every single show. It's a nice, comfortable, close-knit type venue where there's not a bad seat in the house. Never a bad seat in the house. You can look over the top on the balcony. There's 3 big, huge screens. You never miss any of the action. It's a great feel. I want to keep that feel. I may move up to 1,500. I may move up to 2,000, but I don't want to be huge for an amateur event. I still want to keep that feel, keep that intensity, keep that bond, but that's where I want to be. I want to get the production so good, people like to watch it, and then hopefully we can go live on UFC Fight Pass.
I've been to plenty of your shows, and I can confirm there is not a bad seat in the house. Where we used to actually be on the balcony, so the balcony is like a fantastic view of the ring. Looking down at it, you see all the action. It's great, and obviously, as we talked about, the fights never disappoint. My next question I want to talk about is there a potential or a scenario maybe in the future that we could see maybe co-promoted events between you and Cage Warriors, or maybe even like a shared event? Is that a possibility maybe in the future? I know that's probably quite hard.
It's a very hard question, only because I'm amateur, they're professional, and like I said, there's a massive jump between the two, and I don't want to steal their limelight. They're so big. Why would they want to share with me? I mean, they've done amazing. I mean, I can't thank Graham Bolam enough for allowing me to do this. And please trust me, Graham. I will. I promise. I will make it work.
He's not a bad man.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. So no, but it would be great. Don't get me wrong. It'd be great. Maybe you could have a night of amateurs beforehand and then professional. Maybe even.
That's good.
Amateur, the road to Cage Warriors gold belt guys fighting just before the professionals on a smaller show. Would it work? I'm not sure. But at this moment in time, I just want to build my events so big that Cage Warriors are happy. Do you know what? All my goal is now, there's 2 goals I've got, right? Make my fighters happy and become champions, and make Cage Warriors happy that they have champions. That's all I want. The rest in between is a bonus.
Yeah, of course. That's a fantastic line, that, by the way. I love that. And this is my last question. I know we've been rattling on for a few minutes now, but this is my last question. Is there a message to fighters that are potentially looking at this, the interview and thinking, I would like to get on Machine MMA because I would like to get onto Cage Warriors? What is your message to potentially fighters that are on looking at this interview and thinking, that's it, that's my next step?
So anyone can contact me. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, anywhere, right? Anywhere. All you got to do is, stick my name in Google. Something will come up. But if you do want to fight on my show, please go to a reputable gym. Get your coach to message me. I'm not really happy dealing direct with fighters. A couple of reasons. One, they maybe not honest with how well they fight, because I always like to get a bit of background on the fighters before I match them. Two, there's always that fight or flight. When it gets near the show, they don't show up. When you've got the backing of the coach, they kind of help them, guide them through to showing up at the event. But yeah, I'd like to know that they can fight, or that at least they can, they know a little bit of MMA and a bit jiu-jitsu and striking. So yeah, so if you want to fight, get in touch with your coach, get your coach to contact me. You don't have to become a professional. You can fight for fun. Just go in there, enjoy it, fight for fun. Enjoy the road. If you become better and you want to become a professional, then have a word with me and I will take you down that road that you need to go. Like we said before, it's a pathway for amateur fighters. Let me walk that path with you.
There we have it. That's a fantastic line to leave it on there, Ian Machine. Thank you very much. That was a bit of a long one. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much for letting me come in and join this fantastic space here at Machine MMA in Stanley. If you're around here, potentially get yourself down here as well and have a little bit of a train, and potentially go on to Machine MMA and then Cage Warriors. Exactly. But yeah, Ian, mate, an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. And I'll catch you. This is a bit of an awkward one because I'm right hand, but I'll catch you real soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next one is July 12th.
July 12th.
July 12th. Make sure you're there. Tickets are on sale.
Tickets are on sale now. Or see any fighter and they will sort tickets out for you.
There we go. Thank you very much.